Hello, everyone. We welcome you to another episode of the Away Gooners podcast. My name is Arun. I'm going to be the host for your show, which just involves another person, which is Bob. Hello, Bob.
Hey, wait, how are you going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very good, very good. It's so weird that we just got two of us, and one having to host a show. It's almost like we're going to be talking as much the same, I suppose.
Exactly. Until 3 hours ago, this was supposed to be a podcast with four people, but unfortunately, due to the forest fires in British Columbia, Vijay's throat has been really affected, so he's not going to be joining us today. And Deepak has been caught in a work issue, so it's just going to be me and Bob today. And we are going to be, and we are going to be previewing the upcoming Brentford game away in the Premier League in today's episode. Before we go into the preview, you guys are here, and if you've been following our channel so far but have not subscribed to us, we can subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. You'll receive notifications when we publish an episode. And if you are here and you're watching this video, if you like this video towards the end, you can like, share with your friends, and then you can subscribe there as well. So what we're basically asking is, thanks a lot. Asking for you is to continue the support that you've been giving us so far, and thanks a lot for all the support. So yes, I think with that out of the way, we can just get directly into the discussions that we have in mind for today. Now, this is kind of a time when not a lot is happening, actually. We sort of in the middle of like an imposed interlull, if we could say, based on the things that are happening, and we're also heading into one, right after this game finishes, we're heading into one. So basically my first question, I would say, the first topic of discussion that I had was regarding these breaks, Bob. These are things that you can interpret them in different ways. So what do you think could be the possible impact of a break like this right now? That in my mind, the way in which I think about this is we had a loss and an injury crisis. So I was actually grateful that the break did happen. We didn't have to go through the process of playing another player out of position, or overplaying someone and then getting them injured as well. So for me, the way in which I see it is a little bit of a positive, not greatly, but what do you have to say about that?
I think it's a similar sentiment that I carry. And personally, for me, I'm glad that Partey had his time in his recovery and all those sort of things, and then he's sort of in contention to start the game, which we'll discuss about in detail.
He was in contention even if he would have been if we had played the Everton game, wasn't that
possibly the case? See, I think our team formation and then the team composure is much different with Partey being there without him. True. As well. It's quite evident the way that we were exposed against United. So in a way, you could say it in both ways. So we could have had a chance to bounce back from that defeat against and then got a win against Everton if we had played them. But then on the other side, maybe we just took a back step and then prepare more in terms of our training and all those sort of things. Of course, we did have our Europa game as well in between, which we were lucky to at least that we were playing away, that we got to play that. If not for that game could have as well been moved. The second game against PSV didn't happen for the same reason. So I'm grateful that this game is finally happening. And also grateful for the little break that we got in between. So it's a 50-50 thing.
But let's look at it from the other side. We were a team who were on a 5-game winning streak before we met United. Had we won that game against United, there would have been 6 wins in a row. Plus, we won the game against Zurich as well, make it 7 wins in a row, hypothetically. wouldn't these breaks be like sort of like sort of a speed breaker or like a momentum breaker?
Totally.
Absolutely, in terms of like
Totally.
how you're going.
Wenger every year, if you have looked at in the past, Wenger used to rule all these international breaks, especially the ones coming in September and tail end of October somewhere, because these things take the momentum of what you're trying to do. If the team playing well, if the team is continuing to play well and then get results every week, then it means that you have to continue along working with the same team. This season, having said that, this season is like no other. We've got a big break in between with the World Cup and all those sort of things. So that's a big distraction. And with our curse with injuries and all those sort of things, we don't know uh, who's going to be injured or whatever. Like, who could have imagined El Nene getting an injury in training and then going to be missing for a long time?
Like Elneny is the man who supposedly never got injured. Like he was always there. He was always waiting to come ready and be ready and play. And then he gets an injury in training. And ESR, while warming down after the game, he got injured.
I saw the video as well. See, if there is a Spursy thing, then there's an Arsenal-y thing with
Arsenal thing. Yeah. Of course, there is. This is like the injuries. Yeah.
No, totally. See, I think it takes the steam off us, which means that we have to be a bit more careful in terms of our preparation and all those sort of things. I would have personally loved to have played the Everton game, but then I understand the government's decisions and all those sort of things. And then as well, the PSV game would have been a good chance as well for the boys to be back and then get back into match fitness if they are not.
Exactly, that's the main thing, the match fitness part of it. Like the more breaks you take, the more rusty you get. Again, in the middle of a season, but whatever it is, even if you're going to be playing like 9 games in October, this break is definitely not going to be like a compensation or a rest for it. Like at that point, playing those 9 games is totally different. You have to have a different mentality to be able to do it.
Right.
Like retrospective rest is not going to be like helping in any way. At that point, I believe. So it's like a combination of factors. That's. I agree with you. 50-50 would be a good way to put it. Like, like if we'd won the game against United and we were on a winning roll, I think we would be talking about it in a different way now. Like we wouldn't be accepting the 50-50 at that point. We wouldn't have wanted any of the games to be stopped. We would have
see the other thing is we don't really have the depth in the squad to compete in all fronts, right? So in a way, you could actually take the break to your advantage. Just some get some rest to the bodies and then make them ready for the next few games or the run of games ahead. So that's basically how you have to be taking in as an Arsenal fan. Had we got in that midfielder, Douglas Lewis is a name that I could put up, but
that's done. Like we don't talk about things
exactly. We don't have the depth. We understand that we are short both on the wings as well as on our midfield. So we just have to go with what we've got. That's it.
Yeah, right. So that's it. So like, just make use of the time to take a step back and get back to the drawing board, like see where we went. It's not difficult to identify where we messed up against United. So it's very easy. They did manage to come back against Zurich, but this is the time for you to change and then get ready for the rest of the Premier League games that we have, which is not a lot, by the way, because after the Brentford game, like I said, there's going to be like another international break, an unwanted one in my opinion. It's like
that's the one which I'll rue a lot. Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's not like the players are going to be like, rested, whatever it is you play 2 games, whether it's like 90 minutes or 30 minutes that you play, you're still putting your body there, so it's like fatigue is fatigue. It's not going to get compensated. So, so again, like another set of things is that we've had like all of these in national leagues fixtures, the squad's been announced and there's a lot of uproar over like Ben White not making the squad and the likes of Connor Cody, making the squad, I don't want to compare here, like Sancho missed out too. It's not about like comparing the sort of players that Ben White and Cody are. I have to inevitably do it. How Cody over Ben White, how do you, it's not that I'm not going to complain. Because for me, it's good the way I see it. Our player gets an extra bit of rest. Ben White is like a very important, vital part of a club. But for the player, the way in which he would be feeling, not making if he doesn't make it here, it's very unlikely that he might make it to the World Cup squad too, I believe. So,
See, I think with White, the way that I look at it, right? Maybe that Southgate just wants to have a look at few more players and then keep them as an option before he announces the World Cup squad. So that's basically how I see it. It's just that there is one international break that he's got to assess a few more players and then questions. So I won't take too much into the fact that Ben White hasn't been called and all those sort of things. I'm pretty sure he should be on the plane to Qatar, if at all
Oh, so
something.
you think he'll definitely be going?
I think so. I most certainly think that he would be going, because I mean, if they're going to be reliant upon Maguire, for example, I think they're a bit far off there. I mean, everyone knows that, even including United fans. So Ben White being
I'm glad you brought that up, because like I was like, oh, how do we slate someone from United? Yes, let's do a convoluted, twisted question that would inevitably bring
that's the
Maguire's
easy
name
one,
and throw
right?
shade
Yeah.
on him. So
The
that's it.
greatest player ever scored in Moldova this morning.
Oh yeah, he did. Oh, he's still playing, is it? That's
Yeah,
good to
so
know.
he's breaking all
I thought
records.
he might be.
That's one.
At
That's one
least
other.
like at least he's the greatest player ever in like one of the countries. Even though, like, an interesting fact about Moldova is that they lost, I think, a huge chunk of their GDP a few years ago overnight.
Oh,
So just like a little bit of a trivia there. If something happened randomly and like they lost a huge. So as a country losing that is amazing, and that's where our man is being like rocking the show there. So that's good.
that from a penalty. Okay, I have to say this as well.
Okay, I mean, like, he is scoring, right? And that's all you need. So yes, so now look, we will go into the last part of the episode, which is basically the game that we're going to be playing against Brentford. It's an away game. When you think about the same fixture last year, it gives you instant nightmares. I mean,
Yes.
it does. Yeah, it's the first game of the season. It was like, no, I don't think anyone was ready. Not the fans, not the players, not the manager, for whatever we witnessed that day. Like, on that night, when the atmosphere in the stadium was unbelievable. Like, the fans were like totally backing the players and the teams, and then, like, the fact that they were there after such a break was very visible. Like, so he's like. It was like a really intimidating atmosphere, if I can say. Like,
It's like if I think about this whole game, right? It's like someone walking on the road and then suddenly being hit by a bus.
exactly, unexpectedly. It wasn't like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a nice walk, stroll in the park. Not a stroll in the park, I wouldn't say that, but like, it wasn't like not expected to be as difficult as it turned out to be. We were not. I don't think we were expected to be bullied. Like, whatever the factors were, COVID, lack of players, whatever it might have been.
See,
I
our
don't think we
squad
were
was
even
not technically ready. I mean, the whole world, even including Arteta, if you look back at the reflections, he knew the fact that the squad was not ready before the start of last season. And as you said, to your point, we were completely bullied. It was actually a culmination of so many things put together at once. Our squad was not ready. We had to actually just do it with makeshift players and all those sort of things. Our leading strikers didn't start the line back at that game.
we had to play with like a 19-year-old at that point.
Yeah, and then Brentford had, I mean, just bounced back into the Premier League after a long while that you can remember. So their fans, it was the first game after the COVID, restrictions were removed, and they were like full in numbers, and then they were vocal. Everything came into picture, and then in the end, we were set up for a loss. Even if you had put up 1,000 permutations that day, we could have still ended with loss in most of the time. So that's how the game was. And I mean, if you just look back at things, as an Arsenal fan, right? I'm just quite impressed with where that we've come so far. I mean, with what we were last season. I mean, forget about the first game. Look at the first 3 games. We were 0 goals, like absolutely no goals scored. Nothing at all. We were being bullied at home by Chelsea, and then we lost against City. It was a season set up for failure, but still we recovered pretty well from there. We came on to finish, narrowly missing the top 4, but still managed to finish in Europa place, which is fair enough. But then again, to take that into this start of the season, the start that we've had, I mean, only sans the loss. And then going into this game, your feelings has to be completely different to the way it was.
Totally different. Totally different. It's like we know what we are getting into, and we know what we are getting into, like with the credentials that we have managed to, like, build with the games that we played this season. Even the last, like you said, it wasn't like we were outplayed. Like there was no point where it felt like we were getting one of those games against like City or United, where we're like, oh my god, what's going on? Why are these guys like scoring so many goals? Why are these guys like not letting us breathe? Like why are these like guys like doing it? That was never the situation, which is also interesting because it was an away game for us. It was a home game for United. At OT, you would have expected them to like take the upper hand and choke us out. They played intelligently, but like we were not outplayed. So that's again like a huge positive for me from the game to continue on, and that's why I wasn't like too worried about like a break in momentum because of what the manager said. We know what we have to do, and we are just going to continue doing that.
Yeah.
And hopefully they bring that like for this game against Brentford. So against Brentford, Bob. So like. They made like quite a few good signings, and they already have like some people who have been playing with the team for a while, who've been like their talisman, and like someone like an Ivan Toney is a huge player for them in the team. But apart from that, we know that they've made like a few signings. Other signings, like which ones do you think we have to look out for? I'm just looking at some.
See, I think Hickey stands out. We've all been raving about Hickey for a long time. Arsenal fans were completely, they were believing into the.
But totally sold. Like the people thought that Hickey was going to be like the next big thing. We're having seen him play a little. I think maybe we might have been also like people on the same bandwagon, like who were like talking about Hickey in glowing terms. But like what happened was like he came in here. It was pretty surprising for me though.
It's a very shrewd signing. They managed to snap him up from Bologna quite quickly. I thought probably he would continue there, but then his talent wasn't going unnoticed. There were actually many teams. I mean, in the league as well as elsewhere in Italian Serie A, that people were tracking Hickey. And at some point in time, when we know we needed a left-sided, cover for Toney. I was convinced that we were going to be signing Hickey, but then we quickly had other targets in mind. But then, so it's a very smart piece of business by Brentford. I have to say, him and Damsgaard that they got from Sampdoria. So Damsgaard, for people who don't know, he was actually one of the top performing players. During the Euro 2020, where the Danes went to semi-finals. I think they lost eventually to England, but then they played some scintillating football, and then in that Damsgaard was actually the center of all those that happened. So it was as well again good. I mean, he was struggling in Syria with Sampdoria, that they were almost fighting for relegation all the time. So I mean, it's a good piece of business by Brentford, I have to say. They're just emulating the City model by setting up partner clubs like Deutschland and all those sort of clubs, and they're trying to bring in players from those teams as well along. So I mean, credit to Brentford for strengthening. And one last piece of important signing that I have to be talking about is Ben Mee. From Burnley.
Yes. A free transfer.
He has been pretty good, solid under Sean Dyche, School of Management, and then for him to come on a free transfer, it's pretty impressive as well. So I'm overall impressed with the way Brentford have actually picked up the signings. They have not just splashed money on everywhere and just brought the players who would fit into Thomas Frank's strategy, and then someone who can actually come in and improve this team.
Yeah, one of the things was like one of my friends was saying that, we were talking about Aaron Hickey, and he said if he was linked to Arsenal and ends up at Brentford, it shows a lot about like, the quality and ambitions. I don't know how we could like see that, but like, that was very interesting. And like you said, the partner club Bologna, I think I have to mention it again here. Like since I live in Montreal, Montreal CF also has like partnerships with Bologna. So like we've had like players come from Bologna and join Montreal FC. So it's like the clubs being partners is an interesting factor here. Like if it happens across MLS and Europe, then definitely within Europe, that would be like a very good option. You get quality right away from the club. It's not a feeder club situation, but it's definitely like, from the club there. So yeah, those are the main players from their side from Brentford. And if we were to be talking about our starting lineup based on the information that we've been receiving, ESR doesn't seem to have made a recovery from his injury. Like I said, told you, like when we were discussing earlier about, like I said, like, Ben White also, I heard something from I saw something. It's been doing the round since, like, the afternoon my time, is that Ben White is injured and he has, like, hip and I think hip and back. I think I saw that being, or hip and shoulder, and that's the reason why he didn't make it to the squad. Now I don't know how true it is because it was only reported by, like, a reporter from the Sun, and there was there's nothing else like that supported the thing. So I don't know how true that is. Maybe, like, it is possible. It could also be possibly one of the things that Wenger used to do, like, make the player seemingly be injured so they don't go to the international break. But we really don't know at this point, so we'll wait for the confirmation. But apart from that, I think we pretty much have, like, the same people that who were in contention for the Everton game. Partey, like you said, might be in contention. El Neni is out, like, for the rest of the year, I believe. That's what was mentioned. And who else do we have that was injured or not available? I think pretty much rest of the squad should be available. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just quite. I'll be waiting to see if, in case Arteta, if he can actually risk Partey. This could again be.
But does it really make sense to, like, risk him right now for this game? Like, given that we're going to be going.
See, the fallback that we have is he's got the international break to recover. So,
okay,
that's the only way that you can actually look at it.
But is he not going to be traveling for the international break, or Ghana not be playing?
Yeah, so Ghana has actually picked him up, which is where I was actually reading reports that Arsenal medical team is going to be in touch with the Ghana national team just to say, hey boy, handle him a bit with care.
Yeah, just make him play 5 minutes and that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, see, that's one change which I think Arteta might actually risk, considering the international break. But then apart from that, I expect to see the same starting 11 with
Ramsdale at the back.
Yeah, Ramsdale at the back, and then Saliba. And
do you think Zinchenko will start, or will it be Katie?
Zinchenko was brutally exposed against United, so I think we all spoke about that in length. And considering Brentford, they are actually pretty much a team who can actually come and bully their opposition, especially at their home ground. I will expect to see Toney start, but then would be interesting as to how the boss sees. So maybe Toney for me.
When he goes into his pep mode, you never know what he's going to do. Like, so.
See, yeah, that's always there. Yes. In the right back, I'm not sure. Again, we need to wait for the injury news to come out. But for that, White could potentially start ahead of Tomiyasu.
Given that he's also not going to be going. Yeah.
Many of the starters that you see in the current team, right? They were not there at the time that we played Brentford last time around. Like, Toney wasn't there, or Zinchenko. Like, of course, Zinchenko was signed this season, but then Ramsdale wasn't signed yet last season.
Right.
So this team is much different to the one that they faced last season, and I expect this team to actually come up with a different result for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So again, like, the midfield is pretty much going to be Sambi. Like, given the options that we have, it's going to be easy to do this. Sambi, Xhaka, and Odegaard in midfield, and do you think Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka up front?
Yes, most likely that's how it starts. I'll be very curious to see how Arteta is gonna give a chance to Marquinhos. If you had actually looked at his performance against Zurich, it was top notch. It feels like it's just Martinelli put on the right wing. That's the sort of impression that I got, really.
But again, Martinelli does come with his caveats, right? Like, the fact that he had to do a lot of decisions. It's still not perfect yet. Like, he had to.
No, totally. See, this guy is completely raw. Let's just admit that. We're not going to rave him to be the next Martinelli or next superstar or whoever it's going to be. We just aware that he's got a lot of way to improve. But then still, with the little that we've seen so far, I'm just waiting to the fact that I can't wait to see him play for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. It was very exciting to see the things that he did, like, see him doing the things that he did. So, Bob, like, what do you think would be the main, like, player duels, if you were to say? The first thing that comes to my mind, would be like Toney against like Saliba and Gabriel. So that's going to be like a big thing for us.
So the big test there, because as I said earlier, Brentford would like to play physical game. They would like to impose themselves on us, and they would want to get through those duels and then get the ball moving. Thomas Frank sets his team up to try and trap us down. And then if we were to take a thing or two, he would be basically looking at what Ten Hag did. And then he would set up the formation that way. I heard that Thomas is looking to change it to a 3-5-3, just to actually freshen up this whole thing.
3-5-2, you mean?
3-5-2. Sorry.
You just spoke like Todd Bowley there at a presentation with Thomas Tuchel.
No. I don't want an all-star game. No, for sure not. But yeah. So he would actually load it up in the midfield. One thing that we can be, we have an advantage on. You remember Canos, who actually scored the goal and who actually dictated the play last time when we played. He sort of injured there.
Yeah, so Norgard too. The other guy who scored was Norgard. Yes. Both of them are injured. Yeah.
Injured, so it gives a bit of an advantage for us. But still,
yeah, like when our players go in, they're going to be like two faces, like less from all the PTSD. Like there's going to be two less faces, so they're not going to be as affected. But I think again. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, even with that, we are going to be still playing 11 men at their stadium. So we got to be preparing.
That's true. I think like another thing is like, David Raya is a good goalkeeper. Plus we spoke about Ben Mee. I think in the defense, these two are also going to be like impactful. Like, whoever play, be it Jesus. I think Mee plays on the left side, right? So, or is he? Yeah. So again, like then if he's on the left, it's Saka against me, or if he's on the right against Martinelli against me, and then it would be Jesus against Raya. That would be like another important duel as well, in my opinion. I think apart from that, the midfield battle would be interesting. Like you said, if they're going to be overloading the midfield physically, that's going to be like a very big thing. Like the way to win this would be like avoid the mistakes against United. You know how Brentford are going to be playing. Like just shoot, finish the chances, I would say, because like we've been creating a lot of chances, not finishing, like playing like the old Wenger teams were passing the ball like, sir, you shoot, sir. No, you shoot, sir. So like, we got to avoid there and like, score the goals now. I think that would be the most important way.
Quick word on Vieira. We saw what he can actually.
Oh, he was good. He was really good. But like, again, like the fact that it was Zurich and he was fantastic. Not taking anything from that. It was a really good, encouraging debut, but I would like to see more of him, like, before, because in my mind, I've already given him time until like December to get used to the league, get ready to what's going to happen, for what's going to happen. And then like we used.
Why does it always happen that Arsenal have always, have a buffer time for people to get settled into the league? So for example, if you look at Luis Diaz, who actually joined Liverpool, he came in and then he slotted in straight away.
Yeah, but Luis Diaz does have the physique that is like, encouraging, and you don't feel like, oh my God, this guy is going to get bullied, right? He's tall and he's like, got that wiry, gangly frame that is, it's very difficult. It's like, he's like a Tammy Abraham. Like the frame that he has is like it's not a fun frame to go against for a defender. It's similar to that. But as you see, Vieira, he looks paperweight. The fact that they don't want him to gain weight or bulk up is a totally different thing. But it doesn't really inspire your confidence right away when you think, oh, what is this guy going to be doing in the Premier League? That's why I mentioned, yeah, I saw him in the Europa League, but I would like to give him more time and see how he plays in the Premier League. I don't want to rush him in, like we see, especially given what we've seen he can do. When he's special, you got to like protect people and ease them in. We did that with Odegaard, it worked, and we did that with other players, it's been working. So I think like, that would be a good way to go. So now that we've spoken about Vieira, what are your score predictions about for this one, Bob?
Okay.
You said we would get a different result. So what would be a different result?
Okay. Different result still means that we will concede a goal. That's what I can most likely.
That's a given. That's default.
Given, right? Yeah. Okay. If that's actually a given, I feel we will come with a 2-1 victory.
You know what? I was also going for the same 2-1 victory, which is by my default. That's a score that my safe bet score on any Arsenal game is 2-1. So it's not a safe bet score here, but I think like I agree with you. I think we will be conceding a goal, given the form that Toney is in, like and the way in which they play. We have not been like completely. It's not more than lapse of concentration. I would just say it's just a freak goal going out of the same way that it has happened so far, and we would be scoring 2 goals. Like I think we should be able to score 2 goals. Like if we do convert the chances, I would put that in there. Like if we keep passing, no, that's not happening.
So there is a caveat in there.
Yeah, there is a caveat in there. So with that caveat, we come to the end of this episode. Thanks a lot for joining me, Bob, and thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Once again, if you like this episode, please do hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your friends. And yes, do not forget to keep supporting us. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.